Hi lovely people, welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to basically just give you some journal prompts to help you reflect on this past year and kind of get yourself in the mindset, in the mood for this next year and really make it your best year yet. So I have, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3. I have 10 journal prompts with you and then also one manifestation journal prompts at the end, so 11 in total. And these are just prompts that I actually like to use myself at the end of the year. I have pretty much done like a reflecting journaling session at the end of the year, like that December 31st for quite a few years actually. I'm not sure how long. I'm gonna say like 5 to 10 years at this point. Anyway, for a long time. So these are some prompts that I like to use myself. I'm not always using all of these. I actually also added some new ones in this year. But these are the ones that I will be using myself this year for New Year's. So without further ado, let's get into these journal prompts. So the first one is, did you have any New Year's resolutions this past year? And if so, how did you do on them? Just look back at your resolutions and really just reflect on them. Did you make them happen? Did you not? Why did you make them happen? How? Or why did you not make them happen? Maybe they are no longer serving you, so that's why you didn't end up going through them. Maybe something else happened or you just wasn't able to make them happen. Whatever it is, reflect on your New Year's resolutions from this past year. Then this is basically just 2 in 1. What is something that you want to take with you from this past year into next year, and what is something that you are very ready to just let go of and leave it behind in this past year? Can really be anything. So yeah, what is something that has really served you and that you're willing to take with you next year? What is something you wanted to leave behind because it did not serve you at all? Or maybe it has served you in the past, but it's just something that you'd like to stay in the past and not take with you into this next new year. Then one of my favorites is, what are you most grateful for in this past year? And feel free to write down multiple things. The more, the better. I think gratitude is so insanely helpful to not only just feel happy, but also bring more of the good things into your life, like throughout your life. The more you're in a mindset of gratitude, the better, in my opinion. So what is something that you are really grateful for in this past year? Maybe also write down why. I mean, details are the best with prompts like this, which also makes it really fun to actually read them back, because as you read them back, you can really just feel the gratitude that you put onto the paper as you wrote it, which is really beautiful, I think. Then the next one is, what are you most proud of in this past year? What is something that you are so proud of that you did, or that someone else that's close to you did? Doesn't really matter, but what are you most proud of from this past year? What were your big wins this past year? So see if you can think of one or even multiple big wins from this past year. Kind of going hand in hand with the being proud of, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing. It could be the same thing for you. Absolutely fine if that's the case as well. What is at least one big win that you had this year? If there's more, feel free to write down more. Then also going with that are, what are some small wins this past year? Not all wins have to be big. So even just a very small win, I think is really beautiful to reflect on. Any win is a win. So something that you can do is go through your calendar or through your photos or something on your phone. This can help you kind of re-jog your memory and see if there's something that you can come up with if you don't have anything on top of your mind right now. But yeah, what are some small things that were little wins for you in this past year? Then the next one is more health related, and it is, what has been really good for your either mental or physical or both health in this past year, and how can you take that with you into the next year? And again, it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be as simple as drinking a glass of water upon waking up each morning. It can be something like taking a walk, meditating, doing yoga or any sort of like exercise. It can be big or small, it doesn't really matter, but what is something that was good for your mental or physical health, and how can you take that with you into the next year? So then we're coming more into the getting ready for this next year part of this video. The next one is, what is something that you want to be proud of at the end of next year? So what is something, looking back, that you want to be proud of? What is something that you want to have reached, that you want to have done? What is something that you want to be proud of at the end of next year? Also, what is something that you would like to change in this next year? So what is a change you would like to make this next year? Again, it can be small or big, it doesn't matter. But just think of one thing that you would like to change in this next year. And then, of course, do you have any New Year's resolutions for this next year? I'm not someone that really tends to set a lot of New Year's resolutions myself at all. I prefer like a very gentle approach to goal setting, which I think I did a video on, so I'll link that for you. But yeah, if you do like to set goals or New Year's resolutions, write them down. This is your moment. Make a list. What are your New Year's resolutions? And then finally, to end up this video, I wanted to talk about something that I first did last year, and that is writing a journal entry from the future. This is actually a very powerful exercise. It is something that I had done before, but I never actually put a date to it. And wow, I just read this back, what I wrote last year, and more has actually come true than I thought would come true when I was writing this last year. So it's pretty amazing. Like, I was reading this back with a smile on my face. It's a really good exercise. So I'm definitely going to be doing that again this year. And also, this doesn't have to be something that you're doing January 1st or December 31st or something. You can do this at any point, like whenever. And that goes for all of these things. These are just good journal prompts in general. You don't have to put an actual date to it. Not necessary at all. But for this one, like, yeah. I loved reading this back. This is basically my little, I guess you could call it a manifestation journal. In here I'm doing any exercise, like manifestation exercises that I need to write things down for. I all do them in this little journal. I'm pretty sure I've shared this with you before. But I also wrote that letter in here. And wow, just wow. I'm really happy that I did. I loved reading this back, and like I said, more has actually come through than I would have even dreamed of when I was writing this letter, which is insane. Basically what you're going to do is you are going to write down a date in the future. I chose to use December 31st of 2024, but you could choose any date. I actually wrote this halfway through January 2024. So a little bit less than a full year in the future. Yeah, it's really fun reading this back on the actual date. So I think I'm also going to be reading this back again on December 31st. But what you're going to do is you're going to write a journal entry or a letter to yourself, whatever form works for you. And you're going to write about all of the amazing things that have happened in this next year, basically. So what are all of the amazing things that are going to be happening to you next year? And you're going to write them down as if they have already happened to you. Also write down how that makes you feel. So the more feeling you put into this, the better. Also, the more fun it's going to be to actually read this back, because it's going to bring up all of those feelings all over again. You're really feeling them and experiencing them as you are writing them down. And then also when you read them back, you're really feeling and experiencing that. So really powerful exercise in that way. So the more detail you put into this, the more emotion you put into this, the better. So write down all of the amazing things that have happened to you in this next year and how they made you feel. I mean, really just put down the gratitude that you have for all of the amazing things that happens in the next year, basically, which is a really weird sentence to use. Happens in the next year. Yeah. But like I said, it's a very powerful exercise, and I think if you don't do any of these journal prompts, maybe do this one. It's an amazing exercise. I love it. I actually should do something like this more often probably, but yeah, definitely going to keep doing that on a yearly basis, like for the next year. You could also go farther in the future than like a year, but I actually found that a year is quite a good timeline for this, and it also makes it really fun to look back to at like the end of next year. So that is the last one I have for you. Those were 10 journal prompts, and I guess if you count the letter writing exercise, 11 journal prompts that you can use to reflect on this past year, as well as set yourself up for an amazing year next year. I hope these were helpful for you. Feel free to just pick whichever work for you, and also definitely let me know what are some journal prompts that you like to use yourself to reflect on this past year, or to maybe get yourself ready for this next year. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. I just wanted to take the time to really thank you from the bottom of my heart, because this morning I woke up to 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and I can still barely believe this. I am so insanely grateful for this little community that we've built, and I'm so insanely grateful for each and every one of you. So yeah, just a very, very big thank you for making this possible, really. For giving me all of these opportunities by watching my videos, by commenting on my videos, by liking my videos, sharing them, by clicking on the links that I share with you, especially when I'm doing a sponsored video. Just a very, very big thank you for all of these things, because all of these things help me out so, so much, and I'm so insanely, insanely grateful for it. I honestly don't know how to express my gratitude for the life that I'm currently living. Yes, there's always gonna be things that could be better, but honestly, I'm happy. I'm grateful for my life. I am grateful for all the opportunities that I get in this life, so thank you. Thank you so much for being here. With that, I wish you a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video, in which we are going to be making my vision board, and also are going to reflect on my vision board from this past year. So stay tuned for that one. I'll see you. Bye!